What's up everyone, it's Dakota and welcome back to another Pioneer video, and it's been a while since we've actually taken a look inside the format, and this deck that we're going to be looking at today has a special place in my heart because it was one of the first Pioneer decks that I built pre-breach slash, combo winter shenanigans, before COVID and everything. And it's a deck that has evolved and finds ways to win and honestly finds very creative and fun ways to win. That can also be kind of complicated too if you don't quite understand what's going on with the deck. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Lotus Field combo deck in Pioneer, seeing what the heck it's done in the months since we've last seen it, and just see how well positioned it's placed in the Pioneer metagame as a whole. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the deck. So here we have the Hidden Strings combo deck piloted by Reyes, who took it to a 6-1 finish in the Pioneer Challenge, good enough for second place in the event. Of course, before we get too deep into the deck, I just want to say if you're not already subscribed to the channel, what the heck are you doing? You should totally subscribe. I post videos like this for Modern Pioneer, some other longer essay-ish type videos pertaining to the Pioneer and Modern format, as well as just having a good time here. I love talking about Magic. It's one of my passions, and even though I don't sound overly excited right now in my voice because it is decently late for me when I'm recording this video, I do have a lot of fun, and studying formats and going over these decks and stuff is something I really love doing. So if you like all that, please consider subscribing to the channel, ring the notification bell so you get notifications of when I actually post these videos. And if you go into the links in the description of this video, you'll find one for my Twitch channel. Go ahead, throw me a follow over there so you know when I go live. And there's a link for a Discord server that I'm in that I just like talking about Magic and helping other people make deck decisions and stuff like that. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at Hidden Strings. So for anyone that is on the loop of what the Hidden Strings combo deck actually is, it's essentially a deck that is trying to put Lotus Field into play and trying to get 2 copies of it. And the fastest way of doing it is putting a Lotus Field into play and then using Thespian Stage to use its ability to copy a Lotus Field. When you use Thespian Stage to copy Lotus Field, you do not have to do its ETB trigger of sacrificing 2 lands, which essentially gives you 6 mana on 2 lands, to which we abuse cards like Hidden Strings that say that we can tap or untap a target permanent and then tap or untap another target permanent. So essentially, like, Hidden Strings becomes a supercharged ritual in some ways. With this deck obviously having special ways to like untap their lands, like Vizier of Tumbling Sands, you can cycle it to untap target permanent, essentially nets you a mana on your Lotus Fields and draws you a card. A Boreal Grazer, while not necessarily making mana, this is a way that you can put a Lotus Field into play on turn 2 and then be set up to kind of go off on like turn 3 or turn 4. A new innovation that these decks have actually implemented in the creature slop is playing a Hope Tender, which you can pay 1 and tap it to untap target land, or you can pay 1, tap it, and exert it to untap 2 target lands. Now, this is important because you could play this card on like turn 2, whatever, and use it to kind of like ramp yourself up and cast some like Pour Over the Pages, Dark Petitions, and things like that to eventually just find a way to make a second Lotus Field and go off from there. Also, on the turns where you play Thespian Stage, like on turn 3 or even like turn 4, you're able to play Stage, copy it with Lotus Field, have a mana left over, exert it, untap both your copied Lotus Field and your actual Lotus Field, and then you can start going off from there because you kind of reach that same point of just being able to go off. And if for whatever reason, you end up holding onto it and you get to untap with those lands, Hope Tender just makes an insane amount of mana to where you are able to just go and cast your big haymaker spells, like Emergent Ultimatum being the most important one. Let's search over 3 monocolor cards with different names, you exile them, your opponent gets to choose one of those cards, that card gets shuffled, and you cast the others without paying their mana cost, and you exile Emergent Ultimatum. So a lot of piles that you end up getting usually look like Omniscience into like a maybe like a Behold the Beyond or a Pour Over the Pages, and essentially from there, like, your opponent probably shuffles back Omniscience because they don't want you to just get a bunch of cards. So then you're able to, Behold the Beyond, like discard your hand, search for 3 cards, One of them could be like another Emergent Ultimatum. You have a Pour Over the Pages on the stack as well, get a Dark Petition, so on, some combination of cards to where you are able to just, get an Omniscience. You could even just, set yourself up for one of those turns where like you can get like Pour and a Hidden Strings, or a Pour Hidden Strings, get Omniscience with your Behold the Beyond, and just kind of start going off from there. Playing Mastermind's Acquisition is kind of in place of playing like Fae of Wishes, because this deck used to play a card called Fae of Wishes. Will let you search your sideboard for a non-creature spell and put it into your hand. Essentially, Dark Mastermind Acquisition lets you search outside of the game and also search your library, so it gets to pull double duty. And going outside of the game, you get cards like a Hope Tender that can, essentially do the line that we talked about, just getting to exert it, untap both of your lands. You can Cyclonic Rift just to bounce all of your opponent's permanents, set yourself up to have plenty of time to actually go off and do something. Pithing Needle against some of like the red-green like vehicle stuff and the mono green like devotion decks as well. You have Mystical Disputes that you can bring in post board to interact a little bit with some of the control decks. You have like Behold the Multiverse, which I'm assuming this is just a way to like get like another draw spell. Thought Distortion is a way to just kind of wreck your opponent's hand. They try to interact with you. Maybe not necessarily like the mono green decks or like black red, but blue white control is like a popular archetype that I think sees a lot of play in more local metas than it does at challenges and stuff like that. People just like playing control. Thought Distortion absolutely just hoses them. And of course, Approach the Second Sun, which is a way that this deck can win the game, just by tutoring for an approach, playing it, and then just getting to churn through its deck with like Pour Over the Pages and stuff like that. Noticeably missing from this deck list that was uh, seen in other lists was the weird Peer into the Abyss card that lets a player draw half their library rounded down and they lose that much life rounded down. I'm assuming not really seeing play just because it's not necessary anymore, but something worth pointing out because it was a card that was really just a lot of fun, and a card that was very actually easy to cast, and kind of went well with like Emergent Ultimatum because you made a ton of black mana. You wanted the black mana for Ultimatum, you know, is what it is. So yeah, that is basically what this Hidden Strings deck has become. I think it's seeing more play in Modern or in Pioneer now for the fact that it had an okay matchup like against Mono Green. Like yeah, if Mono Green had a fast combo turn, then you probably weren't winning if you were on the draw. That said, that you have ways when you are on the draw in Arboreal Grazer to stop aggressive decks that are just getting to the board fast and trying to kill you, like kind of like the red green mid-range deck, the Atarka red decks, and things like that. On top of also just getting to ramp out into a Lotus field super quick and set yourself up to combo on like the third turn of the game. And of course, having like Leer in the main to be able to stop your spells from being countered and giving your spells a flashback in the graveyard to then build up enough mana to then cast some of your big threats and stuff. This is a deck that is pretty complicated to play. Definitely requires knowing what to search up at the right time, because there is times where like you could resolve an Emergent Ultimatum in a difficult spot and end up screwing yourself because you picked the three wrong spells, which again is definitely a possibility. So definitely a deck that, like, if you choose to pick this up and play it, it's a deck that you need to do your homework on and really just understand the different lines and what you want to search for in those situations and how you want to set up on turns going forward. This is a deck that is not going to be all that great if you just try to rush and go off, before you're even ready to go off. And I know that doesn't make sense, but I probably will be in a video explaining later, kind of going through my thought process when playing combo decks. But if I were to pick up this deck and play it today, I would definitely be very aggressive in terms of like the hands that you keep in game one, and then games two and three definitely being a little less picky, I would say. Aggressively going for the combo like in game one, game two, and game three. You know, if your hand is like a piece or two short, just being willing to kind of like roll with it. Again, depending on the matchups and stuff. So That's Hidden Strings slash Lotus Field combo for Pioneer. Uh, Overall, I think it's a great deck choice. I've always enjoyed playing this deck, and while I think there's definitely been times where this deck has been better and has seen better days, I think it is worth picking up and trying out right now. If there's going to be no changes to Pioneer, just playing one of the most degenerate things, and this lets you do degenerate things while also being like pretty fun and giving your opponent the illusion of choice, and keeping them playing the game and you winning the game for longer, and everyone except for the person you're playing against enjoys that. So if you enjoyed this video, and of course you'd want to see more videos like this, please leave a like on the video, comment down below if there's any other Pioneer decks or guides or anything like that that you want to see from me in the future. Of course, be sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you know when videos like this get posted. And follow the links in the description to my Twitch and Discord server. That's going to do it for me in this video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to see you all in the next video.